Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He was an admiral in the Earth Defense Force, and he had never heard the base sirens make that sound before. It was the sound that meant only one thing: aliens. Ran to the command center still wearing his pajamas. The huge screens showed something that made his blood freeze. 67 massive ships hung in space above Earth like giant metal sharks. Each ship was 3 kilometers long and covered in strange red lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. When did they arrive? Jake asked his second-in-command, Captain Lisa Parker. 15 minutes ago, sir. They just appeared out of nowhere. Number. Warning, no signals, nothing. Jake stared at the screens. In all his years of military service, he had always wondered if this day would come. Earth had been sending radio signals into space for over 200 years. Someone was bound to notice eventually. Are they trying to talk to us? Jake asked. Lisa nodded and pointed to her communication equipment. They're broadcasting on every frequency we have. The computer is working on translating their language now. Jake waited. The whole command center was quiet, except for the soft beeping of machines. Everyone was holding their breath. Then the translation came through the speakers. Voice was cold and mechanical. People of the 3rd planet from your star. You have been chosen to join the Corvani Empire. Give us your weapons and prepare for your new rulers. You have 12 days to obey. Jake felt his stomach drop. He had hoped that if aliens ever came to Earth, they would be friendly. He had hoped they would want to trade or share knowledge. But these aliens sounded like they just wanted to take over. Sir, what do we do? Lisa asked. Jake looked around the room at his officers. They were all young and scared. Most of them had joined the Defense Force thinking they would never see real combat. Now they were facing an alien invasion. Get me President Nathan Cross on the secure line, Jake said. And wake up every military commander on Earth. We need to meet right now. 2 hours later, Jake was sitting in a secret meeting room, deep underground in the Rocky Mountains. The president was there, along with generals, admirals, and scientists from all over the world. The room was full of worried faces. General Pete Collins was the first to speak. We've counted their ships. 67 vessels, each one bigger than anything we've ever built. Our entire space fleet has only 30 ships, and most of those are cargo vessels. Dr. Helen Brooks, Earth's top alien expert, had been studying the scans of the enemy ships. Their technology is far ahead of ours. Based on the energy readings, I estimate they are at least 500 years more advanced than we are. President. Cross rubbed his tired eyes. What are our options? We could try to negotiate, suggested General Collins. Maybe they want something we can give them without a fight. Dr. Brooks shook her head. I don't think so. The way they spoke to us shows. They think we're primitive. They're not interested in negotiation. They want surrender. Jake had been quiet during the meeting, but now he spoke up. What about our weapons? Can we fight them? General Collins pulled up a holographic display. Our best ships have nuclear, missiles, and laser weapons. But look at this. He showed them a scan of one alien ship. Their hull is made of some kind of metal we've never seen before. Our weapons might not even scratch them. They're not just more advanced, Dr. Brooks added. They're showing us they don't even consider us a threat. They sent 67 ships to conquer a whole planet. That's either massive overkill or standard procedure for them. The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Earth was in serious trouble. Over the next few days, Jake watched as the alien ships moved closer to Earth. They positioned themselves above major cities like New York, London, Tokyo, and Beijing. It was clear they were getting ready for something. On the 5th day, the aliens demonstrated their power. The human mining station on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, was there one moment and gone the next. It simply vanished in a flash of red light. There was no explosion, no debris, nothing. It was like the station had never existed. The message was clear. This is what happens if you don't obey. Jake spent the remaining days preparing for the worst. He ordered all military ships to spread out and hide. He had weapons moved to secret locations. He made plans for underground resistance if the aliens invaded. But deep down, he knew Earth was outmatched. The aliens had better ships, better weapons, and better technology. If they wanted to destroy humanity, they probably could. On the 12th day, Jake stood on the bridge of his ship, the UE Descender. The alien fleet had moved into attack formation above Earth cities. Billions of people were watching their televisions and computer screens, waiting to see what would happen. Jake had been chosen to speak for all of humanity. Whatever he said next would decide the fate of his species. He could surrender and hope. The aliens would be merciful. He could try to negotiate and buy more time. Or he could do something else entirely. Lisa Parker turned to him. "Sir, the channel is open. The whole world is watching. What do you want to tell them?" Jake looked at the alien ships on his screen. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, like metal angels of death. He thought about his daughter, who was hiding in a bunker somewhere on Earth. He thought about all the people who were counting on him to save them. Then he made his choice. Jake Morrison looked directly into the camera. His weathered face showed no fear, only determination. Behind him, the bridge crew of the U.E.'s Defender held their breath. Everyone on Earth was watching this moment. The alien ships hung in the sky above every major city like giant storm clouds. Their red lights pulsed faster now, as if they were getting excited about what would happen next. Lisa Parker nodded to confirm that the transmission was going out to every human communication network and to the alien fleet. "You're live, sir." Jake took a deep breath. He thought about everything that had led to this moment. The aliens had given humanity 12 days to surrender. They had destroyed the Europa mining station to show their power. They had made it clear that resistance would mean death. But Jake had spent his whole life in the military. He had sworn an oath to protect Earth and its people. He had seen what happened when bullies were allowed to take what they wanted without a fight. They always came back for more. He spoke one word. His voice was calm and clear. "No." Then he cut the transmission. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Lisa Parker smiled. "Sir, that was perfect." Across Earth, people heard that single word echo through their radios, televisions, and computers. In New York, people gathered in the streets and started chanting "No." In London, the word was painted on walls and buildings. In Tokyo, children wrote it on paper and held it up to the sky. The word spread like wildfire. It was translated into every human language, but somehow it meant the same thing everywhere. Humanity would not kneel. The alien response came quickly. Red beams of light shot down from the Corvani ships. Military bases around the world were hit first. Jake watched on his screens as installations he had visited just days before were turned into smoking craters in seconds. The beam weapons were unlike anything humans had ever seen. They didn't explode like missiles or burn like lasers. They simply erased whatever they touched, turning solid matter into nothing. "Sir, we're getting reports from all over the globe," Lisa said, her voice shaking. "Pearl Harbor Naval Base is gone. The European Defense Headquarters in Brussels is gone. The Australian Space Command is gone." Jake felt sick, but he kept his expression calm. His crew needed to see strength right now. "What about our ships?" "The Third Fleet near Luna is engaging the enemy," came the reply from Communications Officer Danny Williams. "Admiral Brown is leading 12 ships against a Corvani destroyer." Jake switched the main screen to show the battle near Earth's moon. He watched as human ships fired everything they had at a single alien vessel. Nuclear missiles exploded against its hull, doing no visible damage. Laser beams bounced off its armor like flashlight beams. The alien ship fired once. A red beam swept across the human formation like a sword cutting through paper. In 14 minutes, 12 ships and 3,000 brave souls were gone. "Dear God," whispered Dr. Helen Brooks, who was monitoring the battle from Earth. "Our weapons can't even scratch them." But Jake noticed something important. The aliens were only attacking military targets. Cities were left alone. Civilian spaceports were untouched. The Corvani were trying to break humanity's will to fight without destroying their new slaves. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison." Jake broadcast to the remaining human fleet. "Scatter and hide. Do not engage the enemy unless you have no choice. This is now a guerrilla war." Captain Amy Johnson was piloting a fighter near Mars when she received the order. She had just watched her squadron get wiped out by an alien patrol. Now she was alone in space with nowhere to run. "Understood, Admiral," she replied. "Going dark." She shut down all her ship's systems except life support and drifted like a piece of space debris. Through her porthole, she could see the red lights of Corvani ships searching for survivors. Back on Earth, people were running for cover as alien landing ships descended from the motherships. The craft were smaller than the main vessels, but still huge by human standards. They landed in major cities and began deploying ground troops. The Corvani soldiers were tall and thin, wearing black armor that seemed to absorb light. They moved through the streets like ghosts, setting up control points and communication arrays. President Nathan Cross had evacuated to a secret bunker in Colorado. He was coordinating with resistance leaders around the world, trying to figure out how to fight an enemy that seemed invincible. "We need to get our people underground," he told General Pete Collins. "The aliens are here to stay. We have to think long-term." General Collins nodded. "I've already activated the deep shelter protocols. Military personnel are going into hiding. We're setting up supply caches and communication networks." In Chicago, Tony Walsh was leading a group of civilians into the old subway tunnels. He had been a construction worker before the invasion, and he knew every tunnel and basement in the city. "Stay quiet and stay together," he whispered to the families following him. "The aliens have good hearing, but these tunnels will muffle sound." Above ground, Corvani soldiers were setting up large devices that looked like metal trees. Dr. Helen Brooks, watching from a hidden camera, realized these were communication relays. "They're not just occupying us," she told President Crossover. "An encrypted channel. They're integrating us into their empire. Those devices will let them control human communication networks." But the aliens had made one mistake. They had underestimated human stubbornness. In every city, in every town, in every hidden bunker, people were saying the same word that Admiral Morrison had broadcast to the galaxy. No, it became more than just a word. It became a promise. A declaration that humanity would never stop fighting, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. Rick Davis had been a Marine before the invasion. Now he was hiding in the ruins of a shopping mall, watching Corvani patrols walk past. He had a rifle with only 6 bullets left, but he wasn't afraid. He carved the word "no" into the wall beside him and prepared to wait. The aliens might have better technology, but they didn't understand humans. They thought conquest meant the end of resistance. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Captain Steve Brown had escaped the massacre at Luna with his ship, the Hughes Phoenix. Now he was hiding in the asteroid belt, planning his next move. "They want to rule us," he told his crew. "But you can't rule people who refuse to be ruled." That word Admiral Morrison spoke isn't just defiance. It's a promise. "We're going to make them regret coming here. The invasion was complete. Earth was occupied. But the war was just beginning. 6 months had passed since the Corvani ships first appeared in Earth's sky. The world looked very different now. Major cities lay in ruins, their skylines broken by alien towers that hummed with strange energy. But in the tunnels beneath Chicago, Tony Walsh was planning another raid. He spread a hand-drawn map on the concrete floor of what used to be a subway station. Around him sat 12 other resistance fighters, their faces dirty and tired, but determined. "The aliens have a supply depot 2 blocks from here," Tony explained, pointing to the map. "They bring in food and equipment every Tuesday morning. If we hit them right, we can get enough supplies to last a month." Kate Murphy raised her hand. She had been a school teacher before the invasion, but now she carried a rifle like everyone else. "What about guards?" "Usually just 4 Corvani soldiers," Tony replied. "But they have those energy weapons that can cut through concrete. We need to be smart about this." Rick Davis, the former Marine, studied the map carefully. "What's our escape route?" Tony pointed to a series of tunnels. "The old water pipes run right under their depot. We go in fast, grab what we can, and disappear before they can call for help." This was how the resistance worked now. Small groups hitting small targets, then vanishing into the underground maze of tunnels, sewers, and basements that existed beneath every major city. The aliens controlled the surface, but humans owned the underground. Above ground, Captain Amy Johnson was leading a different kind of mission. She had gathered 5 other pilots who had survived the initial attacks. Together, they were planning to steal a Corvani shuttle. "Their landing pad is lightly guarded," Amy explained as they crouched behind the ruins of a shopping center. 2 guards, maybe 3. The shuttle has enough fuel to reach orbit. Lieutenant Ben Foster checked his weapon. "And then what?" "Our fleet is scattered across the solar system. Then we find Admiral Morrison and give him intel about their operations down here," Amy replied. "Someone needs to know how they're organizing their occupation." The aliens were methodical in their conquest. They had divided Earth into control zones, each one managed by a different Corvani commander. They were studying human behavior, learning how to control large populations with minimal force. But they were also making mistakes. Dr. Gary Patterson had been hiding in an abandoned laboratory for 3 months, working on captured alien technology. He was a brilliant scientist, and he had discovered something important about the Corvani equipment. "Look at this," he said to his assistant, Maria Gonzalez, as he pointed to the inside of a damaged alien weapon. "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly complex. Every component is connected to every other component through some kind of neural network." Maria looked at the strange, organic-looking circuits. "It looks almost alive." "That's because it is alive in a way," Gary explained. "This isn't just a machine. It's more like a computer that thinks. And if it thinks, maybe we can confuse it." Gary had been running experiments for weeks. He had learned that human brainwaves could interfere with Corvani neural networks in unexpected ways. It wasn't much, but it was the first weakness they had found in alien technology. Meanwhile, in space, the scattered human fleet was learning to fight a new kind of war. Captain Steve Brown commanded the UES Phoenix, one of only 3 ships that had escaped the initial massacre. "Contact bearing 270, reported his navigator, Corporal Danny White. "Corvani supply convoy, 3 ships." Steve studied the tactical display. The aliens were getting careless. They thought they had destroyed all human ships, so they weren't being as careful about protecting their supply lines. "All right, people," Steve announced to his crew. "We hit them fast and disappear. Target their engines first, then their communication array. We want to strand them, not destroy them." The Phoenix swooped in like a hawk attacking rabbits. "Human, Weapons couldn't penetrate Corvani armor, but they could damage external equipment. After a quick strike, the alien convoy was left floating helplessly in space. Mission accomplished, Steve reported to his crew. Now let's get out of here before their friends show up. These small victories were keeping human morale alive. Every successful raid, every convoy attacked, every alien communication tower destroyed was proof that the Corvani were not invincible. Back on Earth, the resistance was growing stronger. Tony Walsh had been promoted to commander of the Chicago Underground. He now coordinated with similar groups in New York, Los Angeles, London, and dozens of other cities. We're getting reports from all over the world, he told his lieutenants during a weekly meeting. The aliens are having trouble controlling rural areas. Small towns are going completely dark, cutting all communication with the outside world. Kate. Murphy had become an expert at guerrilla warfare. What about their response? Are they sending more troops? That's the interesting part, Tony replied. They're not. It's like they have a limited number of soldiers, and they can't spare any for small towns. They're focusing on major population centers. This was valuable intelligence. The Corvani Empire was vast, but that also meant they were spread thin. They couldn't garrison every planet with unlimited forces. Dr. Gary Patterson had made another breakthrough in his hidden laboratory. Working with salvaged alien technology, he had built a device that could temporarily disrupt Corvani neural networks. It's not much, he explained to Maria Gonzalez as he showed her the prototype. It only works for about 30 seconds, and the range is very short. But 30 seconds might be enough to get the drop on an alien patrol. They tested the device on a captured alien weapon. When Gary activated his disruptor, the weapon went dead for exactly 28 seconds. When it came back online, it fired randomly for a few moments before returning to normal function. We need to get this to the resistance commanders, Maria said. Even a small advantage is better than no advantage. But getting information to the resistance was becoming harder. The aliens had installed surveillance equipment throughout the major cities. They were watching, listening, and learning about human behavior patterns. Amy Johnson discovered this the hard way during her mission to steal a Corvani shuttle. Just as her team was about to attack the landing pad, alien reinforcements arrived from nowhere. It's a trap, Ben Foster shouted as energy beams started cutting through the air around them. They knew we were coming. Amy's team barely escaped into the sewers. Later, hiding in an abandoned subway station, she realized the implications. They're not just occupying us. They're studying us, learning to predict what we'll do. This news reached Admiral Jake Morrison through secret communication channels. He was commanding the human resistance from a mobile base hidden in the asteroid belt, coordinating with underground fighters on Earth and ship captains scattered throughout the solar system. They're adapting to our tactics, he told his staff. During a strategy meeting, we need to adapt faster. But adaptation was hard when you were outgunned and outnumbered. The aliens had better weapons, better ships, better technology, and more soldiers. The only advantage humans had was their refusal to give up. In the ruins of New York, a young woman named Lisa Martinez was proving that point. She had been a college student before the invasion, studying computer science. Now she was one of the city's most effective saboteurs. The alien control tower goes online at midnight, she told her team as they prepared for their latest mission. We have maybe 10 minutes to plant the charges before their security sweep begins. Her team consisted of volunteers from all walks of life, a former banker, a retired fighter, a teenage hacker, and an elderly librarian who knew every secret passage in the city. They moved through the dark streets like shadows, avoiding Corvani patrols and surveillance devices. The alien control tower rose above them like a black needle, pulsing with red light. Getting inside was the easy part. The aliens were overconfident, and their security was designed to stop armies, not small groups of determined humans. But planting the explosives without being detected was much harder. As Lisa worked with the demolition charges, she thought about Admiral Morrison's single-word response to the alien ultimatum: no. That word had become the foundation of human resistance. It meant that no matter how hopeless things seemed, humanity would keep fighting. The charges were set. Lisa's team escaped into the underground tunnels just minutes before the explosion lit up the night sky. The alien tower collapsed in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. It was a small victory, but it sent a message that reached every human hiding in basements and bunkers across the city. The resistance was still alive. 6 months after the invasion began, Earth was occupied but not conquered. In tunnels and ruins, in hidden laboratories and scattered spaceships, humans were learning to fight a war unlike any in their history. They were outmatched in every way except one: they refused to surrender. 2 years had passed since the Corvani fleet first appeared over Earth. In a hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of Denver, Dr. Maria Gonzalez made a discovery that would change everything. She had been working with captured alien technology since Dr. Gary Patterson was taken prisoner during a raid 6 months earlier. Gary had been close to a breakthrough when the aliens found his lab, but Maria had continued his work in secret. "This is impossible," she whispered as she stared at the data on her computer screen. She ran the test again, then a third time. The results were always the same. Human brain patterns could not just interfere with Corvani neural networks. They could completely take control of them. Maria's assistant, a former computer programmer named Jim Parker, looked over her shoulder at the readings. "What exactly are we looking at?" "When I connected the neural interface to my own head and tried to communicate with the alien device, something unexpected happened," Maria explained. "Instead of the device controlling my thoughts took over the device." She showed him the alien weapon they had been testing. It was a small energy pistol, the kind carried by Corvani foot soldiers. But now it was responding to Maria's mental commands instead of its original programming. "Watch this," she said, concentrating hard. The weapon powered up without anyone touching it. Then it aimed itself at a target across the room and fired. All controlled by Maria's thoughts. Jim stared in amazement. "How is this possible?" "I think it has to do with consciousness itself," Maria replied. "The Corvani technology is based on artificial intelligence that mimics organic thought patterns. But human consciousness is more flexible, more creative. When we interface with their systems, we don't just copy their patterns. We overwrite them." This discovery needed to reach the resistance immediately. Maria sent an encrypted message through the underground communication network. "Breakthrough achieved. Need volunteers for testing. This could change everything." The message reached Tony Walsh in the Chicago tunnels within hours. He had become one of the most important resistance commanders in North America, coordinating attacks across the entire Midwest region. "Get me every pilot we have," Tony told his lieutenant, Kate Murphy, "and find me some volunteers who aren't afraid to try something completely crazy." Kate had become an expert at moving people through the underground networks without being detected. "How crazy are we talking?" "The kind of crazy that might save the human race," Tony replied. Word spread quickly through the resistance networks. Within days, volunteers were making their way toward Maria's hidden laboratory. They came from all over: pilots who had lost their ships, soldiers who had lost their units, and civilians who had lost their families. Captain Amy Johnson was among the first to arrive. She had been fighting a guerrilla war from hidden bases for 2 years, striking alien supply convoys and communication stations. The chance to actually fight back instead of just hiding was too good to pass up. "What exactly do you need us to do?" Amy asked Maria when they met in the underground lab. I need you to let me connect your brain to an alien computer system. Maria explained. Based on my tests, human consciousness should be able to take control of their technology. But I've only tested it on small devices. We need to try it on something bigger. The bigger target was a damaged Corvani fighter that had crashed near Denver 3 months earlier. The Resistance had managed to recover it before alien salvage teams arrived. It had been sitting in a hidden garage, too damaged to fly, but still mostly intact. Amy looked at the sleek alien craft. It was beautiful in a deadly way, with curves and angles that seemed almost organic. And you think I can control this with my mind? That's what we're going to find out, Maria replied. The first test was terrifying. Amy lay on a makeshift operating table while Maria carefully connected human neural interface cables to the alien ship's control system. The cables were a hybrid of human and alien technology, created through months of experimentation. I'm reading neural activity, Maria announced as she monitored the connection. Amy, try to think about flying. Amy closed her eyes and imagined herself piloting a fighter jet. She had been a pilot for 10 years before the invasion, and flying was as natural to her as walking. Suddenly, the alien ship's engines powered up. It's working, Jim Parker shouted from his position at the monitoring station. The ship is responding to her thoughts. But something unexpected was happening. Amy wasn't just controlling the ship. She was becoming part of it. Her consciousness was merging with the alien artificial intelligence, creating something entirely new. I can feel everything, Amy said, her voice strange and distant. Every sensor, every weapon, every system. It's like the ship is part of my body. Maria watched the readings with growing excitement and fear. Amy, can you hear me? Yes, but not with my ears. The ship's communication system is picking up your voice. I'm still me, but I'm also something more. The test lasted only 10 minutes. Before Maria disconnected the interface, afraid of what might happen if Amy stayed merged with the alien system too long. But those 10 minutes proved that humans could do something the Corvani had never imagined. They could steal their technology by absorbing it into their own. Consciousness.news of the successful test spread through the Resistance like wildfire. Admiral Jake Morrison received the report while commanding the scattered human fleet from his mobile base in the asteroid belt. This changes everything, he told his staff during an emergency briefing. If we can take control of their ships, we can turn their own fleet against them. But the process was dangerous. The second volunteer, a former Navy pilot named Mike Chun, didn't survive the interface procedure. His consciousness became lost in the alien computer system, leaving his body in a permanent coma. We need to understand why some people can handle the merge and others can't, Maria told the Resistance leaders during a secret video conference. Mike's brain patterns were different from Amy's. There might be specific types of human consciousness that are compatible with alien technology. Despite the risks, volunteers kept coming. The chance to actually fight back against the Corvani was worth any danger. A former Air Force captain named Sarah Kim successfully merged with another captured fighter. Like Amy, she found that her consciousness could completely take over the alien systems. It's not just about controlling the ship, Sarah explained. After her first test flight, I become the ship. Every weapon, every shield, every engine becomes part of my body. I can think in ways I never could before. The Resistance began planning their first major counteroffensive in 2 years. They had 6 captured alien fighters and 6 volunteers willing to merge with them. It wasn't much against the Corvani fleet, but it was a start. Captain Steve Brown, still commanding the UES Phoenix from hiding, received orders to coordinate with the new hybrid pilots. This is either going to be the beginning of our comeback or the end of our resistance, he told his crew. The target was a Corvani supply depot on the moon. It was heavily defended, but isolated from the main fleet. If the hybrid pilots could capture alien ships instead of just destroying them, the Resistance would have a real chance of building a fleet. Amy Johnson was chosen to lead the hybrid squadron. Lying in her interface chair, connected to her alien fighter through dozens of neural cables, she felt more powerful than she ever had as a human pilot. "All units, this is Hybrid 1, she broadcast to her squadron. "Remember, we're not just flying these ships. We are these ships. Use that advantage." The attack began at dawn, Earth time. 6 hybrid fighters approached the lunar supply depot like hunting wolves. Their alien technology made them invisible to Corvani sensors, but their human consciousness made them unpredictable in ways that alien artificial intelligence couldn't counter. The first enemy ship never knew what hit it. Amy's fighter moved in patterns that no AI could calculate, striking from impossible angles and disappearing before return fire could be aimed. But the real shock came when Amy's consciousness reached out through space and touched the eye of the enemy ship. Instead of destroying it, she absorbed it, taking control of both vessels simultaneously. "I've got 2 ships now," she reported to her squadron. "Their AI doesn't know how to resist human consciousness. It's like they were designed to be taken over." Within an hour, the entire Corvani depot was under human control. 6 hybrid pilots had captured 12 alien ships, doubling their fleet in a single battle. Admiral Morrison received the news while monitoring the battle from his hidden base. For the first time in 2 years, he allowed himself to smile. "Send a message to all Resistance cells," he ordered. "Operation begins immediately. We're going to take back our planet 1 ship at a time." The Corvani had made a fatal mistake in their design philosophy. They had created technology based on artificial intelligence that could be commanded by superior consciousness. They had never imagined that a species they considered primitive might have consciousness that was more flexible and creative than their own. Across the solar system, human volunteers were preparing to merge with alien technology. The species that had refused to surrender was about to turn the tables on their conquerors. 3 years after Admiral Jake Morrison spoke that single word to the Corvani fleet, the final battle for Earth was about to begin. In the asteroid belt, Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as the largest human fleet in history prepared for war. But this was not the same human fleet that had been destroyed in the first days of the invasion. These ships were different. They were Corvani vessels, captured and controlled by human consciousness, piloted by volunteers who had merged their minds with alien technology. "Fleet status report," Morrison requested from his communications officer. 87. "Ships ready for combat, sir," came the reply. "All hybrid pilots report green status." Morrison nodded. Each of those ships represented a human volunteer who had risked their life to merge with alien technology. Some had not survived the process. Others had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. At the head of the formation flew Admiral Amy Johnson in her flagship, a massive Corvani destroyer that she had captured during the battle for Mars. Her consciousness now controlled not just 1 ship, but an entire squadron of vessels that followed her mental commands. "All ships, this is Admiral Johnson." Her voice came through the communication system. "Earth Defense Fleet, prepare for final approach." The irony was not lost on Morrison. 3 years ago, Amy had been a captain commanding a single fighter. Now she was an admiral commanding a fleet of alien ships. Her human consciousness merged with technology that made her more powerful than any human had ever been. "Admiral Morrison, we're receiving a transmission from the Corvani fleet," reported the communications officer. Morrison knew what this meant. The aliens had finally realized what was happening. Their own reinforcement fleet had arrived from the outer rim of the galaxy, only to find human-controlled ships in Earth's orbit. "Put it through," Morrison ordered. The alien voice was different from the ones they had heard before. This one sounded older, more experienced, and definitely more worried. Human Commander, this is Fleet Admiral Korvak of the Corvani Empire. We demand to know how you have taken control of our vessels. Morrison smiled. After 3 years of hiding and running, it felt good to be in a position of strength. This is Admiral Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Your vessels are now under human control. You have one chance to withdraw from this system peacefully. There was a long pause before the alien replied, Impossible. Our technology cannot be controlled by primitive species. What you claim is not possible. Your technology is controlled by artificial intelligence, Morrison explained. AI, that was designed to mimic consciousness. But human consciousness is the real thing. When we interface with your systems, we don't just copy your patterns. We replace them entirely. The silence that followed was longer this time. Morrison could imagine the alien commanders trying to understand what they were facing. You have corrupted our ships, the alien finally said. This is an abomination. Return our vessels immediately, or face the consequences. Morrison looked at his tactical display. The Corvani reinforcement fleet was massive, nearly 200 ships. But they were standard alien vessels, controlled by AI that could be predicted and outmaneuvered. Negative, Morrison replied. You came to our world uninvited. You attacked our people. You tried to enslave us. Now you're going to leave, or we're going to make you leave. The aliens' response was immediate. Attack formation. Eliminate the corrupted vessels. The battle began as red energy beams lanced through space. But something was wrong from the Corvani perspective. The human-controlled ships were moving in ways that defied all tactical logic. Amy Johnson's consciousness was spread across 12 ships simultaneously. She could think and react faster than any biological brain should be able to, because she was using alien computer systems to enhance her own thoughts. Her squadron moved like a school of fish, perfectly coordinated but completely unpredictable. Hybrid. Squadron 1, break and attack, Amy commanded. Her thoughts instantly translated into action by her merged ships. The Corvani ships tried to respond with their standard AI tactics, but human creativity was something their computers had never been programmed to handle. Where alien AI chose the most logical attack patterns, human pilots chose the most unexpected ones. Captain Sarah Kim had merged with a Corvani battlecruiser and was using it in ways the aliens had never intended. Instead of engaging in long range combat like a proper battleship, she was using her massive vessel like a fighter, diving and weaving between enemy formations. This is incredible, Sarah reported as her consciousness controlled every weapon on her ship independently. I can fire at 6 different targets while moving in patterns that would be impossible for a normal pilot. But the real surprise came when Lieutenant Lisa Martinez attempted something that no one had tried before. Her consciousness reached out through space and touched the AI of an enemy vessel. I'm making contact with their flagship, Lisa reported. Their AI is trying to resist, but it's not designed to handle direct contact with human consciousness. Morrison watched on his tactical display as the alien flagship suddenly stopped firing. Then it turned and began attacking its own fleet. Martinez report, Morrison demanded. I've taken control of their command ship, sir, Lisa replied, her voice strange and distant. Their AI is trying to fight back, but human consciousness is just too flexible. I'm spreading through their fleet network now. The battle was turning into something unprecedented. Instead of ship fighting ship, it was becoming consciousness fighting artificial intelligence. And AI, no matter how advanced, could not match the creativity and adaptability of human thought. On Earth's surface, resistance fighters had been waiting for this moment. Tony Walsh emerged from the Chicago tunnels with thousands of other resistance members. They had been preparing for 3 years, gathering weapons and making plans. All cells, this is Chicago Command. Tony broadcast on the Resistance Network. Operation Liberation is a go. Hit every alien installation simultaneously. Across the planet, humans who had been hiding in basements, sewers, and ruins suddenly appeared in the streets. They carried weapons built from captured alien technology, modified by Dr. Gary Patterson's research before his capture. Kate Murphy led her squad against the Corvani Command Center in downtown Chicago. The alien technology that had seemed invincible 3 years ago now fell to human weapons designed specifically to disrupt their neural networks. For Patterson, Kate shouted as her squad stormed the alien building. For everyone we lost. The Corvani ground forces found themselves facing something they had never encountered. A coordinated uprising by a species they thought they had defeated. The aliens had grown complacent during their occupation, never expecting the humans to develop. Effective weapons dot in space, the battle was reaching its climax. Lisa Martinez had taken control of a dozen Corvani ships, turning them against their own fleet. Other hybrid pilots were doing the same, their consciousness spreading through the alien fleet like a virus. Admiral Morrison, this is Fleet Admiral. Korvac, can the desperate alien transmission. We request immediate ceasefire for negotiations. Morrison looked at his tactical display. Half the Corvani fleet was now under human control. The other half was in full retreat toward the edge of the solar system. Negative, Morrison replied. You had your chance to negotiate 3 years ago. The only negotiation now is your complete withdrawal from human space. But Admiral Amy Johnson had a different idea. Her consciousness was now connected to 30 alien ships, giving her processing power that was almost godlike compared to normal human thought. Admiral Morrison, I'm reading their fleet database, Amy reported. These ships contain the locations of other species the Corvani have conquered. Hundreds of worlds, millions of enslaved peoples. Morrison understood immediately. This was bigger than just liberating Earth. The human ability to take control of Corvani technology could free the entire galaxy. Amy, can you access their communication? Networks? Can you contact these other enslaved species? Already doing it, sir, Amy replied. I'm broadcasting the neural interface technology to every conquered world in their database. If other species can adapt it like we did, the Corvani empire is finished. Across the galaxy, alien species that had been enslaved for centuries received transmissions explaining how consciousness could overpower artificial intelligence. Some species were too different from humans to use the technology, but others found that they could adapt it to their own biology. The Corvani retreat became a rout as ship after ship fell under the control of their former crews. The empire that had conquered half the galaxy was collapsing in a matter of hours. On Earth, the last alien strongholds were falling. Rick Davis led a team of former Marines into the Corvani Administrative Center in New York, where the alien occupation government had been headquartered. Building secure, Rick reported as his team cleared the last room. The aliens are gone. They've abandoned their posts. President Nathan Cross, who had been hiding in underground bunkers for 3 years, finally emerged into sunlight. The sky above Earth was clear of enemy ships for the first time since the invasion began. Citizens of Earth, Cross broadcast to the world, I am proud to announce that our planet is free. The Corvani occupation is over. But freedom came with new responsibilities. Admiral Morrison found himself eyed.